What is up, my friends? How are we? You're very welcome along to tonight's late night agenda. Bit of a different intro for once because, well, obviously we didn't have the show to sell, so we don't have the show image up. So I thought I'd mix it up tonight and I put the old dancing Craig and Houlden up. So yes, hope you're all well. Just as I start, the dog starts shouting and crying. It's like they time it in my house. Everyone's quiet until I start work. Wait, 1 second. Sorry about that. Just had to shout, say, somebody please go out and sort the dog out because I hate hearing him crying. Makes me sad. I want to go out and give him a hug. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, welcome in. Thank you to those of you who are joining us. Elks, thank you, bro, for your super chat. First one of the night. And let me just bring it up on screen. Elk said, back in the USA after a week in Belfast and Dublin, had my first Guinness and got to watch the Irish rugby team leave the hotel for the game in front of us. Nice. Well in. Hope you enjoyed the Guinness. I also hope you didn't have it in Temple Bar because I always apologise on behalf of the entire population of Dublin and Ireland to anybody who's subjected to those Temple Bar prices for pints because they can be very, very expensive, Elk. But look, I'm glad that you enjoyed the trip. I'm glad that you had a pint of Guinness for the first time. It is an acquired taste, but one that you do get used to. So yeah, nice. Rusba said, I've just joined. Well, we've just started, bro. So there's a lot to go through, don't worry. So, he said, I just joined. Are the Kerkez talks true? I don't know, is the honest answer. I think so. I would feel confident that there's something to them. But I don't know the person that's made the report, so I can't say for certain. I can't stand for this person, or I can't undermine this person. I don't know, is the honest answer. But what I do know is he is somebody that Liverpool are certainly looking at. So I do think somebody saying that Liverpool are starting these talks, I can see the sensibility in that, considering there is going to be a bit of a race for his signature by the looks of it. Obviously, we've got Richard Hughes, formerly of Bournemouth, and actually I want to go on to talk a little bit about Richard Hughes and how we moved at the right time for him, because apparently Arsenal were considering him if Edu had moved on. So yeah, look, we will go through that one tonight, but I do believe that there is serious interest there, yes. I don't know and wouldn't predict when we might see a move because I don't have that information, but it certainly does feel like, yes, this is legitimate interest, and it wouldn't surprise me at all if conversations had started. But look, I will go through it in more detail, Ruspa, and as always, my friend, thank you for being with us. Anakin, I need to get to know your real name, bro, because I don't like calling you Star Wars character. Well, I don't mind it, but it feels very impersonal to me. Will you watch the UFC tonight, mate? Up the Aspinall. I probably will. I probably will. Yeah, I probably will watch it later on. If I'm still awake, I should say, because I haven't slept in 2 days. So I'm still trying to play catch up. My wife's been very good to me today, looking after me with plenty of coffee and stuff to make sure I'm awake. But I probably will, yes. And look, I wish I had have been Tom Aspinall who was stepping up to fight. And look, I don't know enough about UFC, but John Jones, Tom Aspinall, that would have been a great fight. So, how are we? Finty Tin, thank you for your super chat. Appreciate you. Said, made up that you're staying on, dear boy. Thank you. Do you know what? At the show last night, there was so many lovely people coming up to me and saying just that, mate. You know, that they're glad that we're staying on, that we're not, you know, abandoning the channel, or we're not letting the assholes win. And it was really lovely. Did you guys see the photo of the show that Connor shared? I'm going to bring it up on screen for you in a second if you haven't, because it was a great night. So 1 second. Let me just drag this photo in for you so we can have a little look-see at it and see what you think. 1 second. Here we go. Gotta try my best to bring this up on screen for you folks. Bear with me. So here you go. Here's some of last night's show on a still image for you, so you guys can get a feel for the crowd and stuff last night. As you can see, we pretty much had a full house in Liverpool, which was awesome. And to everyone that came out, including my friend who's just super chatted there a second ago, appreciate you, mate. But yes, we had We had pretty much a full house, which was great to see. And as always, Liverpool came out, showed love, showed us a good time. And we very much appreciate that. So to everybody at the venue, to everybody that showed up, to everyone working there as well, thank you for giving us another great night. We always appreciate it. Josh, let me get your comment up, sir. Josh said, "Hey Craig, how's it going? Hope your weekend has been good so far. Just want to thank you for entertaining us and to the moderators for keeping the chat healthy." You know, the moderator part, I absolutely want to second you on with that one, mate. It's amazing to see the great work that Mark and the team do and how friendly they're able to keep the chat, and we wouldn't be able to do it without them. So yes, to Mark, to the moderators, again, thank you Josh, and thank you those guys for their incredible work as well. Right, TOTT2KZ1, which is what I will be calling you, by the way, when I'm marrying you officially. I will be saying, "Do you, TOTT2KZ1, take..." And we'll have to get a username for your missus, mate, because we can't be calling you a username and her by a real name. Anyway, so it was a pleasure meeting you again, Craig. Great show as always. I have a deal for you. If Liverpool win the league and you hit 300,000 subscribers by the end of the season, will you do another show? In all honesty, I have nothing absolutely planned, but certainly the thought process was always that we would do a show, we're hoping maybe March even. March, May, sometime around then is what we're thinking, but we haven't got anything in the book. So yeah, I certainly plan on coming back to Liverpool. You know, again, last night I felt no nerves whatsoever. I was able to stand back and watch Carl Porter perform, watch his whole set, which was lovely, and then of course went up and shared the evening with you guys and a lovely time. So yeah, thank you mate for being there again, and yes, deal. Evening from Barcelona, Rachel. How are we? Not good enough to have the indoor swimming pool, Rachel, in Liverpool. Have to get yourself over to Barcelona. I hope that you're having a great trip, though. Very much deserved, Rachel. Right, Nick, how are you, sir? Do you reckon we have a leg up on Kerkez, considering Richard Hughes passed and Dom being his national team captain? Congrats on the successful show. Well, look, it's not for me to say if it was successful or not. You know, people that went will make their mind up on that one. But I had a good time. I certainly appreciate everybody coming out. So look, I'm going to give you a few things on Kerkez, and then we'll go from there. So there was news yesterday that came out when we were on stage that said that Liverpool have made Milos Kerkez the club's top target and have now begun talks to sign him. So I can't stand over this because I don't know the person who put the story up, but I can absolutely say there's credibility to it 100% from the point of view of he's a player we're looking at for the left side. There's no debating that. I'm going to be speaking with David next week and I'll be able to get into the weeds on this a little bit to get some more information. But as you've said, Nick, you couple in the interest in the player with the fact that Richard Hughes would obviously have a background from helping bring him into Bournemouth. You look at the side, the left side is an issue that, yes, we probably do need to address. And I would say, yeah, I would say there is credibility to it. I don't know what stage of the process this might be at, so I don't want to give anybody false information, but it's certainly one that I would say has some credibility to it, yes, which is good, right? Because if we can start boxing off these positions, even if it is one maybe that we may not need a full transition in for a year or two, so be it. I think it's the right way to go. Right, so what did I think of the Tyson fight? Lauren said, honestly, I was too tired. I didn't watch it. I just lay in the bed, kind of just staring at the wall, because I knew I wouldn't sleep because I'm up early for the flight this morning home. But I didn't watch it. I watched some of the build-up, some of the documentary. I haven't even seen the Katie Taylor fight, in all honesty. So, but what I would say was, I've seen some bits of the commentary from the Katie Taylor fight, and it has to be one of the most biased sets of commentary I've ever heard in my life. Absolutely 100% everybody there wanted Serrano to win, from the commentary team to everybody inside the AT&T stadium. Understandable, but I watch boxing usually with the commentary off these days, no matter where I'm watching it, because I find I can be swayed into believing their narrative at times as well when I'm watching fights. Now, I'm not to say the result was correct or incorrect because I haven't seen the fight, but certainly thought the commentary was shocking. Right, I want to get Anakin Skywalker's comment up, and then we're going to go through some more of the news stuff because there's plenty for us to talk about here tonight. My real name is Harvey. Well, that's going to be an easy one to remember, man. Thank you. It's great that you're staying, Craig, mate. Appreciate you. Thank you. I, like many others, love this community. Do I like Pereira? Much love. So, you mean Andreas Pereira, Fulham player, former Manchester United player? No, not really my cup of tea, to be honest with you. He's too inconsistent for me, if that's the guy you're talking about. Yeah, no, he wouldn't be for me. But thank you. And I'm glad I'm staying as well. But I'm also a little bit embarrassed, to be honest with you. I am. I'm a little bit embarrassed that I let those idiots get in my head. But, I'm human. But I appreciate everyone's support. Right. There's some more stuff from Mateo Moretto. So what I gave you was some stuff from Anfield Sector and Anfield Watch in the first part. The second part about Kerkez is Milos Kerkez is on the radar of Liverpool for now. There are no concrete talks about a deal, just initial inquiries, said Mateo Moretto. Then we have, as I said, Anfield Sector crediting Anfield Watch to say Liverpool have made Milos Kerkez the club's top target and have now begun talks to sign him. You couple this with the news the other day that Arsenal and I think a couple of other Premier League sides are looking at the Bournemouth player, and I think it won't be long until he does move on and depart the Vitality for wherever the future may be. And obviously, we wouldn't mind that being Liverpool. Anakin said, I was actually talking about Alex Pereira. In that case, mate, I'm going to revert my answer back to don't know enough about him, bro. Sorry. I'm still not being really helpful to you here, am I? But honestly, I don't know much about him, mate. And I'm not one of them people that'll spoof you. If I don't know anything about a player, I'll come out and say it. I don't. So, but I think you must like him, right? So maybe you can fill me in a little bit on him. Can you read my message? Would love to get your views. Yeah, let me just scroll up, mate. 1 second. Craig, I'm buzzing with the season so far, but I fear we lose Virgil and Mo, we'll lose the mentality to win titles. Look, I think the idea of losing Virgil and Mo, mate, to me, at this point, feels I'd have the same concern you have. I think that's more than valid. But it would feel nonsensical to me right now, If this was a time where Virgil and Mo were showing serious signs of decline, or, their engine was running out and their performances weren't great, I could understand the club taking the time a bit more on it. But these guys have once again shown that they are still at, I won't say the peak of their powers, but they're still at a very, very, very high standard and standing out in the league. So I think the idea of losing either of those two is nonsensical. As I said, I can't, I've said this before, I felt like the Trent situation is going to come down to Trent. But with Mo and Virgil, I feel like it's the club that's not figured this out yet. And I want to move on to talk more about Trent in a while, by the way. But yeah, I'm with you on that, mate. It would be two very big losses to have in, your captain and your talisman. And to lose two of them, it'd be almost impossible to replace them. It would. Yes, Shane B. R.I.P. John Kenny. So yes, unfortunately today, sad news in Ireland. A very famous Irish comedian and actor passed away today. I believe the age of 66. A great Limerick man, great Irish man. And yes, I absolutely echo those sentiments, Shane, and condolences to John Kenny's family and friends. Yeah, it's a very sad loss for us. Alex, lovely to see you. And Alex said, evening, Craig and gang, how's things going? Good, mate, good. I'm fresh back from Liverpool. Just got in, we got in pretty early this morning, to be honest, but just been easing my way through the day to get to this point because I wanted to make sure I was still awake for the stream. So yeah, all good, thank you. So there was also a question in here about Alisson. So there's a question about Alisson, and I'm going to move on then to Kerkez again because I see there's a comment in there that I want to get to as well. So any update on Alisson? No, not that I'm aware of. There is a real debate forming, though, around what happens when Ali comes back. I was reading The Echo and some of their journalists, and they were going through the permutations of, does Alisson walk straight back in? And I feel he will. If you take Arne Slot's words at face value, he said that, Alisson is the number one. He'll walk straight back in when he's fit. I'm just wondering, though. I don't know. I feel I'm a big rhythm person when it comes to football. And Kelleher's in that rhythm now. And maybe I'm a little bit worried because I don't know. I'm looking for any reason to fear us dropping off a little bit. And I'm probably stretching here because obviously Alisson's the best in the world and he's amazing. But yeah, it certainly does. I don't know what message it would send. And that's kind of what confuses me a bit. Because I think if this was in any other position and we had a midfielder who was playing out of his skin or a forward who was suddenly stepped up and scored a load of goals, I feel like we would be expecting him to hang on to the shirt. But ultimately, it's Arne Slot's decision, and it is a good headache to have, you know. So, no, we don't have an update, unfortunately, on when Alisson will be confirmed to be back. But, you know, we're all expecting it to be shortly after this international window. Then there was a comment that somebody asked about... where was the other comment? Kerkez. So, really quickly, mate, because I don't want to bore everyone that was in with us at the start. There's been 2 reports. One said that we're inquiring about him and are interested in him. And then another report said that Liverpool are certainly interested in him, have begun negotiations or talks to sign him. Now, I don't know whether these talks are a brief word with his agent, maybe an inquiry to Bournemouth about the parameters of what any deal may look like, what type of numbers they'd be looking for. I don't know. And when I get more of that information, I will, of course, bring it to you. But I do feel comfortable in backing up these reports that certainly he is a name that Liverpool are looking at. I just don't know at this particular moment personally, because I've been away for a couple of days. I don't know how far along that might be. Keith Dunn, how are you, bro? And he said, I mean, this is definitely a funny slip up, shall we say, Martin? A funny slip up. Hope your trip to, I'm hoping you meant Merseyside, went well. WFM. It did. It was lovely. It was lovely. All of it, yeah. From the hotel, the venue, car hire company, staff at the airport, all of it. Every time you go to Liverpool, it's great, man, because they're all lovely people. So, yeah, great time, great city, great people. The weather wasn't great, but, you know, weirdly, I left Liverpool, it was piss and rain, got back to Ireland, and it was kind of sunny, so that's the only complaint I'd have.
You never packed the only packed your bag? Who loaned you the bag that you packed as well?
Oh, so hang on now. I want to just call my wife out here, because she came in giving it the whole, you never thanked the one who packed your bag, which she didn't. And then got to the point of you never thanked the one that loaned you the bag. Did you thank the one that bought the bag? That you loaned me?
You didn't, because I bought it with my birthday money for my mummy.
I am your mammy.
Fuck off, you weirdo.
Oh, that's me demonetized now, thanks.
Sorry.
Yeah, it picks up. YouTube has this special algorithm where it picks up on your stupid voice if you swear. It knows I'm going to swear, so it expects it of me, but it expects better of a lady. They don't need to see her domestic love in the middle of this, you know? And again, I don't know why you're topless. You can talk to me with clothes on. Love you.
Look like a human snowman.
For once, you're on the sofa now tonight for the lies. Anyway, I got to get back. I've missed these people. It's been 2 days without them. I got to get back.
Oh, so you missed them, but not me. I see. I'm
Correct.
going for a walk.
Correct.
I might not be back.
We can but hope.
Bye.
Love you.
I need that's why I actually came in.
Why did you come in? Oh, the van keys. All right. Anyway, sorry about that, but not sorry, because this is what you come to expect on our channel, right? Me and Sabrina could be talking about anything. Right, so, Patrick said, in my opinion, FSG need to learn that a player's contract is down to 1 year, you can still renew, and don't act, 1 year left, can't do anything about it. So, for me, mate, look, there's a lot I believe FSG can improve on. There's a lot that they've done very well as well, Patrick, and thank you for your super chat. But on this one, it does feel like somebody took their eye off the ball here, doesn't it? You know, because we can certainly say about Jurgen saying he was, you know, leaving. But I still feel like even before Jurgen made his announcement, these contracts should have been sorted. You know, when you get Mohamed Salah, Virgil van Dijk and Trent Alexander-Arnold somewhere around 20 to 18 months to go on their deal, you expect those talks to start because these are important players. And in Trent's case, a player who's, one, a local boy, and two, coming into the prime years of his career. So definitely feels like somebody took their eye off the ball with these, or maybe got a little bit... no, I'm going to say took their eye off the ball, because I'm not going to say they got a bit arrogant about it, because I don't feel that's fair. London West said, how was the show? So I always say the same thing, mate. It's not for me to say how these shows are. It's for the people that went. But I can say I had a great time. It was pretty much a full house in the theatre we were in as well, which was lovely. And I got to spend some time in the green room with actual comics, which was lovely as well. And as always, the venue were helpful, friendly, lovely, and so were the people there. Kerkez isn't good enough. No, Sam Lee's not holding back. Kerkez isn't good enough. I would respectfully disagree. I would say he isn't the finished product yet, nor should he be at his age. But I do feel like we've seen in the Premier League playing for a team that isn't a really, with all due respect to Bournemouth, isn't one that's expecting to be challenging at the top end of the league anytime soon, or at least for the European places, despite the fact Iraola has done a good job. And they've had a shit ton of injuries. I believe Bournemouth have the most injuries, then Ipswich I think it is, and then Arsenal. So yeah, look, I disagree. I think he would be good enough, but again, we're all just, giving our opinions. So there's no hard and fact science to this. Hard and fact, hard and fast is what I tried to say. Alan Malone said the show was amazing. Thank you. I hope you guys enjoyed Paddy Doyle. I think he's a great musician. I think he's got a cracking voice as well. I didn't get to see Paddy perform last night, but I hope you guys enjoyed it. I got to see Carl Porter though, and of course he's always brilliant. Right, what about ENQUIRIES? So as far as I'm aware, Stephen, that interest is still there. And look, I don't know what Liverpool's plan is for the left back slot. I don't know if we're looking at something in January. I don't know if we're looking at something at the end of the season. I really don't know, because I don't know what to expect around Costas and or Robertson. But I do feel that the more people I've spoken to, and I certainly include David Lynch and other journalists on this, there is a belief that after the midfield situation, that is probably the area that Liverpool are next likely to dip into the market. Unless, of course, we lose Trent on the right side, which I'll move on to in a minute. Still need a DM too. 100%, Nick. And that, thank you for bringing me on to that, by the way, mate, because I want to bring that up. I don't like this narrative that perhaps we don't need to look for a midfielder in January because Gravenberch is doing so well. I'm not arguing with the Gravenberch doing so well part, by the way. He's been phenomenal. But my point is, we can't go through a season hoping again that as the season develops that he doesn't get fatigued or pick up an injury or a suspension, anything. One problem in that area, and I really feel like that has the potential to give a chink of light or a bit of encouragement to Manchester City and Arsenal. And we need to put our foot down on their throat at this point and make sure that we're not going to wobble and they're going to have to do something miraculous to try and get back in this title race. So for me, this definitely feels like time to push on. So if I was to make a plea to Edwards, Hughes, FSG right now, it's please learn from the mistakes we've made in previous seasons where, yes, we've gotten off to a good start and maybe there's an optimism around what the rest of the season has in store. But more often than not, this lack of that bit of business has cost us or has seen us fall away a little bit at the end of the season. And we've such a good start this year. I hope that we don't make the same mistake. Now, if the midfielder they want simply isn't available, I guess that's sort of a different conversation. But I don't buy any narrative that suggests we don't need to improve this position or supplement this position. We definitely do. Have you seen James Pearce saying we're unlikely doing anything in January? So, two things on this. And as always, I want to caveat it by saying I have nothing but respect for James Pearce. I find James Pearce to be a very nice man. But what I would say is, when is the last time James Pearce broke a transfer story? Because I can give you 3 or 4 he's denied in recent years that have come to fruition. So, he has the nickname Bad News Pearce for a reason. And I wouldn't be worrying too much about James Pearce saying we're unlikely to do business in January, because honestly, as I said, I can't remember the last time James Pearce broke a story around Liverpool and transfers, Even in the same publication of The Athletic, it's more David Ornstein that would be pushing these stories. So I'll wait to see what Mr. Lynch has to say when I speak with him next, which is hopefully going to be early next week. But yeah, I wouldn't be stressing about that, to be fair. He also said that Liverpool had no plans, if I remember correctly, to bring in a goalkeeper last summer. And then a day later, the negotiations had started for Mamadashvili. So, as I said, don't want to be disrespectful to James because he's a really nice guy. But I wouldn't be too concerned about that statement. Updates on Marmoush or Gyökeres. You can, and I'm saying this with 100% certainty, just so everybody's on the same page. You can forget about Gyökeres coming to Liverpool. It isn't going to happen. Not this summer. Not next summer. It's not happening. So just put it out of your mind altogether. Because I promise you, Liverpool aren't going to sign Gyökeres. It is not going to happen. So after that, Marmoush, I feel like it is, again, a distinct possibility. If you were to say to me what's the most likely forward, I would 100% say Marmoush. But my caveat to that is that I've always said we don't have space for another forward unless somebody departs. So, again, I hope it isn't Mo Salah's contract running down and then him departing. But, if we sold somebody, then I think Marmoush would make all the sense in the world. But can we really afford to bring in a 7th forward and have Jayden Danns coming through as well? It doesn't make much sense to me. So, I'd love him. The interest is there, but we don't have the space at the minute. David Lynch saying we're after Zubimendi in January. So, I've spoken with David Lynch about Martin Zubimendi on and offline, and asked him straight out, do you know something that you can't say, you don't want to let on, you don't want to commit to? And he never ever gave me the impression that he did. What he has always said, and he said on the channel as well many times, is that if he showed any interest, that Liverpool would be still open to that transfer. Again, I've not seen any indication that Martin Zubimendi has changed his mind. But if he does, absolutely, I would believe we'd get it done. I mean, if he rang up Richard Hughes now and said 100% want to move, I think it's done 1st, 2nd of January. Honestly, I think it'll be done that quickly. But, I don't want to get people's hopes up because there's been no clarification on it. Yes, there's been rumours of us, there's been rumours of Manchester City and others. But, again, as far as we know, nothing has changed in that regard. Craig, I don't know why, but I only think any interest is real if Fabrizio posts anything. I don't pay much attention to what Romano has to say either. I don't think Fabrizio Romano would be somebody who I think he really has his finger on the pulse. And I also don't like him in general. I don't know what good he brings to the football world. He isn't a fan that's running a fan channel. He's a snitch. That's the way I look at Romano. I've always been honest about that. He has got great information. Absolutely. But I don't get him. He's basically a gun for hire in my mind. Whoever gives him money, he pushes the narrative. But, as I always say, it's each to their own. I have journalists that I believe. You have journalists that you believe. That's no problem. We all want the same thing at the end of the day, which is a successful Liverpool. Right, any word of the contracts done? No, Keith, and I can't lie, bro, it's really starting to piss me off. And you know why? So I was in Liverpool yesterday, and I got to speak to a lot of Scousers, and still the vibe and the narrative seems to be that I think Trent's, based off what's being reported, is asking for too much money, quite frankly. So I'm going to read you out something that was posted by the Anfield Buzz from Credit and Graham Bailey and TBR Football. Said Trent Alexander-Arnold's new contract would make him the highest paid English player in the Premier League, and Liverpool remain confident that Trent will renew. So if we take that just on its own merit, that the contract that Trent would possibly get would make him the highest paid English player in the Premier League, then we're known that he's above 300 grand. Because Saka at Arsenal, to the best of my understanding, his deal's worth about £300,000 a week. Now, the discussions that we had in the theatre last night between myself and the audience, everybody was happy to keep Trent. Everybody was hopeful we kept Trent, but everybody to a man, woman and child did not feel he was worth over 300 grand a week. And I have to say, he isn't. He just isn't. You know, you can make the argument it's not our money. You can make the argument that if it's that or lose him, and I get that. But there is no way in my mind, in any way, shape or form, that Trent's worth 300 plus grand a week. I just don't see how. Remember what Mo had to do to get 350. Rewrite the history books. And that was... This feels like it's a... We have you by the short and curlies kind of number. And again, I would argue that I don't see Madrid giving him that money. I would be astonished if Madrid offered him anywhere near that. And somebody said, sure, Rashford's on 350. He's not worth it, is he? He's a right back. He's a damn good right back, but he's a right back. £350,000 or £300,000 a week seems ludicrous to me. You know, I think he's on about 200 at the minute. And look, we'd all say, yeah, 250, maybe 270, not in the realms of madness. But when you go over 300 grand, I don't know what precedent that's going to set then. Is that going to say to other players, well, you run your contracts down and you can also get a big payday? I feel like at this point, Trent just needs to put his cards on the table. And I mentioned this at the show last night. My biggest fear here is that this ends and we have a lot of fans feeling annoyed at Trent because he's dragged it out. And I don't want that to happen because we all want Trent to go down as a Liverpool great. We want Trent to be around for years to come. But he's not worth over 300 grand a week. I feel like this is I have you by the balls money. And I wouldn't pay it, quite frankly. I wouldn't. You said Trent is an exception. I don't see it. I don't. There's no. I don't see Trent's impact on our team being anywhere near the same as Mohamed Salah. If you're talking about giving him nearly the same money. I don't see him being anywhere near Virgil van Dijk's influence in the team. And Virgil's going to be on less. I just don't see it. I really, really don't see it. But look, it's not my decision to make. I can just give you my honest opinion as a Liverpool fan. I want Trent to stay. It isn't about wanting to get rid of him. I just think this is... It's madness, quite frankly, to be even considering this much money. I wouldn't let Trent go now. Oh, excuse me. I'm going to read that again, Rich, because I misread your comment. Rich Purr said, I would let Trent go now. Salah and VVD are much bigger players for Liverpool. And again, you know, one of the things I love about these live shows are I get to have real conversations with the audience about how they're feeling. And I think, and I can't say everybody's the same, but a lot of people I spoke to last night, either privately or during the show, were saying the same thing. Trent obviously has a longer career ahead of him than Virgil and Mo. But if you were to take this season in its own little snapshot, you would have to say that the impact would be Mo, Virgil and Trent. Virgil, I would say, is the most important, but you could coin flip between him and Mo. I think very good argument for both. And Trent would be the lower point of this totem pole. But Trent is 26 now, in the prime of his career. I don't know. It feels like everybody's waiting to see what the other one gets. Or what the other one might get. And it's dangerous territory for the club. Because to not have even one of them done right now does feel silly. I can't believe we haven't even got one of them done. I can't. It just, again, feels to me like, what are we doing? Is Chiesa going to be available against Southampton after the break? Don't know. I would guess no, because we haven't seen much of a step up. What I would, again, this is guesswork, but what I would expect to see happen with Chiesa is maybe, because he's been out for quite a bit now, maybe some minutes behind the scenes, maybe some minutes in a 21s game or something, to start building back up a bit. So I don't know. I know it's frustrating. I totally understand my fellow Liverpool fans feeling like, when are we going to see him? But maybe I'm being pig-headed here, but for me it's like, take your time and get it right, and that'll give us the best chance to minimise his injuries, to make sure that when he does play and he has an impact, it's a positive impact. And I do believe Arne Slot when he says it is a fitness thing. It is about making sure that they give him a pre-season now. So, yeah, I do believe him on that, but I don't know exactly when he'll be back. I think Elliot feels like the next one back. Elliot or Allison, based off what we're seeing. Elliot stepping up his work, training with the 21s. Again, I would expect him to be on a bit of a Taylor program throughout the week. So I think Elliot and Allison probably the two closest. ST Nature said, some say Trent is pushing for as much as possible because this will be his last big salary push. It won't be though. Look, every player has the right to push for as much money as they can get. Absolutely. Any person in any walk of life and any job has every right to push for as much money as they can get. No problem with that. But I would say Trent has another deal in him in about 2.5 years. So 28 and a half, I would say there's another deal in there where he could probably say minimum 4 or 5 years left again. So for me on this one, as it goes on, I'm getting more and more frustrated that we're still at a standstill here. Fergal said, would be a nice Christmas gift if they revealed all three with new contracts on Christmas Eve. It'd be amazing. I mean, it would shock the living hell out of me, but it would be amazing. Buggers Taste Salty said, he's not worth 300k, but we'd spend 25 mil to find a replacement. Over a 5-year deal, the difference between 200 and 300 is in that transfer fee. It's not just about the money though, it's about the precedent that it sets. And it feels like we're being held to ransom somewhat on the price. And also, we already have Connor Bradley, and I would suggest he's most likely going to be the next right back if Trent were to leave. Doesn't mean you don't need to bring somebody else in, but you know, if Trent wants 300 grand a week, so what? That's another 5 million quid a year. As you said, over a 4 or 5 year deal, that's the transfer fee. So be it. But the next player coming in isn't going to be on the money Trent's on. So if you bring in another right back, they're probably going to be on somewhere between 40 and 60 grand. So then you're saving a load of dough there. So the money argument is kind of a flawed one, because what you're saying is you're assuming the next right back's coming in on 200 grand a week if they do, which they won't. Hi Craig, just wanted to know what you think of how good Ben Doak has been for the last month. Was it the Scotland game last night and he was good? Should look at the highlights. I've seen the highlights. I've seen him doing Gvardiol up like a kipper. And again, I seen the praise that Ben Doak got last night. So weirdly, you may have seen this because we spoke about it with David Lynch, and I said to David, you know, Ben Doak doing really well, scored a good goal this particular week. I was speaking about it. And David doesn't seem to think, again, I don't want to put words in his mouth and I'm paraphrasing, but I wouldn't have been optimistic after speaking in that conversation that David thinks Ben Doak has a future at Liverpool long term. It feels like from that conversation that Liverpool are now putting him in the shop window to see, you know, if he'll make us a profit, which he will at this point. You know, I think we paid 600 grand to Celtic from, and even right now with what he's doing in the Championship, you would absolutely get people to snap your hand off. But I was surprised because I was thinking, honestly, he was one that the club would have had high aspirations for. So to hear that maybe the thought process was that he might not be the long-term successor there, I was a little bit surprised, but you know, I can only tell you what I know or what I've been told, or, you know, as I said, you can watch it yourself. I like Doak. I do. I think Doak's exciting. You know, I've told you guys for years, I have a real affinity for a young player with no fear who runs at defenders. And Ben Doak is that. He does need to work on more consistency, maybe more end product, but you can see the raw ingredients are there. You can see the talent is there, 100%. And nights like last night, where he was playing against a very good team, and helped Scotland win the game, I think that will stand him in very good stead, and hopefully continue to build up his confidence as well. Harry, let me get your super chat up on screen, my friend, and thank you. So Harry said, do you think any of the contract situations be different if Klopp was still manager? Oh, it's a really good question. I think the Trent one might be different. The Trent one. I think the Virgil and Mo ones are going to come down to what Hughes and Edwards feel their value is for the next 2 to 3 years versus maybe a drop off. But I would think Trent would have been... I can imagine Jurgen just basically letting it be known very clearly Trent can't go anywhere. But I guess it's a hypothetical, so I can only give you an opinion. Money said, the way the team plays now, I think we're better equipped to cope when we had Jurgen because we relied on his long balls. Trent has to make a decision soon. So I said this last night at the show as well. I loved Jurgen. I loved the style we played. But it had its flaws, and those flaws were exposed occasionally. 2 of them being, of course, the gung-ho nature of our attack at times, which can sometimes leave us open defensively. And the second thing I would say is sometimes players were fatigued as we got to the latter part of the season. So their differences in Arne Slot's style of play that I appreciate as a Liverpool fan might not be as exciting all the time maybe as Jurgen Klopp's style, but it's seemingly as effective, what we've seen so far. And defensively, we look like a different team. And we look way more balanced. So I think never ever will say a bad word about Jurgen or that period, because it was my greatest period supporting Liverpool as a 43-year-old man. But I'm really, really, really impressed with Arne. Alan said, are Hughes and Edwards helping the club to win the title and cups this season? So, obviously the answer to that is, in some ways, no. In other ways, well, yes, because, you know, they are recruiting, they are doing some of the contract extensions and whatnot, but, you know, whether I like it or you like it, they are the people who are controlling the destiny of contract situations and player sales and player purchases. So, you know, they'll have to live and die by those decisions themselves. I'm not going to say I agree with all of them or disagree with all of them, but, you know, they are influential people at the football club. I know it's difficult to get a read on Richard Hughes because we haven't really seen too much involvement, particularly in the transfer market yet. Mamardashvili is a hypothetical for us at the minute, and Federico Chiesa was an opportunistic deal that, again, we still haven't fully seen what he's going to look like longer term at Liverpool. So, yeah, bit up in the air on that one just yet. But there was something actually on Richard Hughes that I wanted to bring up. So this came in from Gunner Blog, and Anfield Sector posted it, that said, some close to Arsenal have suggested former midfielder Richard Hughes might have made for a good choice for the sporting director role had he not left his position as technical director at Bournemouth to become Liverpool sporting director this year. Well, you're not having him. So, you know, they can talk about it all they want, but we moved in, we got Richard Hughes. Michael Edwards and Richard Hughes have a great relationship that goes back a very long time. A mutual respect as well that goes back a long time. A mutual love of statistics and innovative data in football. So I think they work very well together. What that means for us as a club, I guess time will tell. You know, Michael Edwards, we know. We have a history of Michael Edwards at the club and what his influence hailed. So hopefully Richard Hughes can do the same. What else have we got? Oh, Craig, stop, you're 39.4. I thought you were talking about the Clips channel there for a minute. I was thinking, that's gone up 5k. And on that, ladies and gentlemen, pinned to the top of the chat right now, you will see a link. It's not the ticket link for once now because the show's over. It is a link to subscribe to the Anfield Agenda Clips channel. It is really close, and maybe it's even gone over the 35k mark. So if you haven't subscribed yet, please do. We had a video on there yesterday that did 52,000 views, I think, on one of our clips. So again, we'd love you to hit that subscribe button. What was this one? I couldn't imagine trying to squeeze so much money out of the club that gave him his football education, the team he loves and supports. Trent doesn't get that wage anywhere else besides Saudi. So I think there's something to what you're saying, Chris, but on the other side of it, Trent and his talent and his hard work and his dedication and his professionalism also was a big part of what got Trent to where he is now. So yes, the club gave him that opportunity and that footballing education, but without the talent, the hard work and the dedication, Trent doesn't get to this place either. So, I've no problem with a player looking for the biggest contract they can get. I've no problem with that. I can just give you my take on it, and I don't think he's worth 300k plus a week. My opinion doesn't matter. Ultimately, it's down to Hughes and Edwards what they want to do. But for me, I don't think so. Because as you've said, I don't see anybody else paying it for him. I cannot imagine he goes to Real Madrid and gets 350 grand a week. I'd be gobsmacked if that was the case. What was this? Somebody said there. Jones was brilliant for England. I didn't see the England game. I've seen some of the highlights, but I haven't seen the game. So look, delighted for Curtis Jones. Got a goal. I think he's going to be the second Liverpool player or something like that to score in his debut in history or something along those lines for England. But well done. It's no more than Curtis Jones deserves for his form this season. TOTT2KZ1, thank you, sir, again for your super chat. Said, all aboard HMS Piss the League with Captain Medically Tall Craig and Arne Slot. What do you think the plans are for Stefan when he's back off his loan deal? I would imagine he'll be assimilated back into the first team and will compete for places with everybody else. But so just to give clarification on what he's talking about there about medically tall. So last night I told a story about when I went to the doctor with my wife recently, and the doctor said, medically tall people like yourself. Now, I'm only 5'10". I'm not tall, but I've been living off that ever since. Every time I talk to my wife, it's like, look, you're talking to a medically tall person here, Sabrina, so, calm it down a bit. Rachel, thank you, Rachel, for gifting a membership. Very kind. That membership went to Alan Malone. Daniel Briggs, how are you, sir? And thank you again, mate, for your super chat. You're very kind. Craig, so happy to hear you're staying. My wife and I are sure that our son has autism. Please, can you advise what would be the thing to do right by him, as we're both really struggling and need help? So, couple of things, Daniel, I would suggest. I don't know the age of your child, your son, first and foremost, so that would be sort of important. One thing I think regarding autism in children that is universally accepted is early intervention is key. The earlier you can get in and get the child the support and the educational structure that they need, if indeed they do have autism or on the autism spectrum. I can only speak from my experience that our boy was about 4.5 when he was diagnosed. Like yourself, we were in a dilemma because if we went public into the Irish health system, it was going to take 2 to 3 years for a diagnosis, which is no good when you need it quickly. So we were able to borrow the money and send him private for his diagnosis. And then, very lucky for us, we also happened to get him into an autism specialist preschool. And he just flew from there. Honestly, I can't speak highly enough of the educational help and structure that was put in place for him. So I would say, if you have any inclination that maybe your son is on the spectrum, if you can get it diagnosed. Now, I was speaking with somebody yesterday, and I think you're probably in the UK, Daniel, from your super chat in pounds. So somebody said to me yesterday, mate, that and this was somebody who's been through the process, that they don't accept in the UK private diagnosis to access any NHS support systems. So if that's the case, I don't envy you, because you're going to have to just keep hounding the NHS to get you these. Over here, we're lucky that, yes, if you do get a private diagnosis, it can be accepted by our health service, and it was. So, yeah, man, I maybe somebody else in the chat can advise you on the best way to approach it in the UK. Cyrus said, is it just me who's annoyed with Trent if he goes? We can clearly compete for trophies and it's your boyhood club. Really feels like a betrayal at this point. So, I get where you're coming from, Cyrus, and I'm kind of torn on it, mate, in a few different ways. One, like I said many times on this stream, I've no problem with a player trying to maximise their earnings. That's absolutely their right. But I've also said, honestly, that I feel like at this point, it sounds like there's a price for us and a price for Madrid, and they're different prices based off what we're hearing. Now, again, this is conjecture because we don't know. If Trent leaves, I'll feel disappointed. I won't feel hate or anger towards him, but I definitely will feel disappointed because I feel the club have answered all of his concerns on the pitch. So, just to really quickly go back over it. Jurgen announced that he was departing. Trent wasn't sure what to do. Let's wait and see who the next manager is. Absolutely understandable. So, we know who the next manager is. The next step is, let's see what this manager's like on the training ground. Let's see what his methods are. And let's see if we're going to be competitive under this manager. And again, I would say that the answer to that question has been answered. Great coach. Players love working with him. And yes, we are challenging. So at this point, I'm running out of reasons to think why Trent might be not committing himself to Liverpool and saying, this is the club I want to be at. And that's why I'm worried. Because if Trent said tomorrow, I want to stay at Liverpool, I've no interest in going to Real Madrid, we just have to get the numbers right, I feel it will be done. I feel like a compromise may be reached and we get the deal agreed. So yeah, if you said to me right now what I think is going to happen, based off gut instinct, I'm leaning more to him going than staying. But that's just how I feel. I don't know for a fact any of that. Just my gut feeling is I'm feeling more likely that he'll leave. Looks like we're back to dominate for years. Trent will be a fool to go. With the City and Pep situation, it's silly to leave now. So, if he wants a new challenge, this is again like why I'm unsure about what's going on here, because if Trent wants a new challenge, communicate that to the club, and then we go about our business trying to replace him or blooding in Conor Bradley even further. So again, I feel like we're waiting on Trent here. Do you want a new challenge? If you do, then there's no point negotiating a new deal. But if he's negotiating with Liverpool, surely there's an opportunity for him to stay. So again, I just say, whatever Trent wants to do, I hope it's communicated and I hope it's quickly. Because the longer it drags on, I think the more people are going to start feeling a little bit pissed off about it. Mui said, if and when he leaves for Madrid, it will be like when Beckham left for United for them. They were in a terrible era, weren't successful and had no balance to their team. They played Figo at right back. So, Trent can't say Liverpool aren't going to challenge. Trent can't say Arne Slot isn't a good coach. I don't think Trent can say that the club aren't trying to keep him. It again just comes down to what he wants. And I don't know where we're at. For all we know, Trent could have told the club what his decision is. I don't know that he has or hasn't. But everything is silent. And when it's silent around these situations, obviously as fans, we become more anxious, more concerned about it. That is also understandable. Colin Brooks said Trent is already detached, just a question of time. Donal said, Craig, could you please say hi to my two daughters, Anna and Alex? They love you and the show. Of course, Donal, thank you. And thank you to your two daughters as well. I appreciate you, Anna and Alex. Thank you so much for watching. I apologise at some of my swearing occasionally. Probably shouldn't be doing so with younger viewers, but I appreciate you guys watching, and Donal as well. Thank you, sir. Lots of love to you and your family, and Merry Christmas to both young ladies. Wait, what if he wants ambition from the owners? So, normally this is where I come in and go, yeah, fuck FSG. Let's go sign loads of players. And I still want us to make those signings, but to me it comes down to, well, we are challenging. Right now, we are in a position where we could go and win the league, or we could go and win the Champions League, or we could go and win some domestic cups. So, what more ambition are we going to want than winning shit again? And right now, I still feel we need a midfielder. I've been open and honest about that. We are challenging, and we've got a chance to win the league now. And I want everybody to have the Mo Salah mindset of, let's go win it all. Why not? The more I hear Mo talk, the more I'm like, yes, Mo. Yes, Mo. Win it all. Why not? As he says, Liverpool is a team with great players, world-class players, international players. I love that. Win it all. And these situations, these uncertainties, aren't going to help. So, sooner the better we get a clarification on it, because we know what we're dealing with. Omar said, Craig, I hope you're well. What's the news on transfers? So, what we have, Omar, is some reports, slightly varying in nature, around Milos Kerkez. One of them saying that Liverpool are certainly interested, and there's been some initial inquiries. There was another one that said Liverpool have made Kerkez the club's top target and have now begun talks to sign him. I don't know. I'm confident that both of those have merit, but I don't know at which stage of inquiries we might be at. If it's further along, or if it's still, Bournemouth, are you open to it? Is he open to it? What type of numbers might be looking at? What other clubs are interested? So I do think there's certainly truth to the interest, yes, but I don't know how far along. And also, like many of you have said in the chat, by the way, and I'm sorry I haven't got round to this point yet, but Trent can't not see what's happening at Madrid right now. Like, Real Madrid right now are a team with world-class players, but not a world-class team on the pitch, because there's no unity in that group at the minute. It feels like they went through this period, Real Madrid, where they were bringing in good signings, where we all went, wow, Tchouaméni, pretty good signing. Camavinga, great signing, great price. Bellingham, wow, what a get, young player, years ahead of him. And then they bring in Mbappe. And honestly, I feel like they brought in Mbappe for nothing more than arrogance. Because they don't need him. They just don't need him. They don't look balanced with him in the team. Vinny Jr. on one side, Rodrigo on the other side, Endrick or whoever through the middle, Bellingham there as well. That was serving them very well. And they were building up a young breed of midfields. Like Arda Turan now. Or not Arda Turan, sorry. What's his name? The youngster from Turkey? Arda Güler. Not getting a sniff. And quite frankly, he's too good to be getting splinters in his arse. He should be playing football. But they've brought in Mbappe and all the drama and baggage that comes along with him, and things have started to look rocky. Do you want me to tell you what my biggest concern is about Trent? It's that picture he posted after we beat Leverkusen. No caption, no words, just him and Alonso on the pitch. And that worries me, because it feels like a certainty Alonso's leaving Leverkusen. And if you're a betting man or woman, you'd have to say Madrid most likely. Ancelotti, a bit shaky this season, off the back of a treble last season. And that's what worries me. Why? Why post it with no caption? Why post it at all? Because you know what he hasn't posted that I'm aware of? Anything about him and Arne Slot. Any image of him and Arne Slot on his Instagram or... So that genuinely concerns me. Because look, can I see why you would admire Alonso? Of course. We all do. He's a footballing god. But that to me just feels like, I don't know why you do it. Like, if you did it with the caption of, great to see Xavi back at Anfield again, what a player he was at the club, what a player he is. Fair enough. But just him, Alonso with no caption, I don't know. That makes me feel nervous. Let me just get this one up. Craig, what is Super Max like? Oh, you mean Super Max? It's not spelled that way, mate. It's not a super prison. It's gorgeous. You place that X with a C and then put an S after it. It's great. Supermax is top notch. You get everything in it, from Southern Fried Chicken, pizza, burgers. It's good. Great Irish company. Great Irish fast food place. Certainly say give it a go if you go buy one. Yeah, 100%. What would you do if Liverpool went for Leif Davis instead of Kerkez, and what do you think of Leif? Don't know anything about him. Bashar, no idea. I thought you meant Alphonso Davies for a second, but I've no idea about Leif Davies. None. Sorry. Yeah, I wish I could be more helpful or give you a better answer, but I don't know, mate. Did I watch the fight last night? I didn't know because I was just so tired, mate. Honestly. I watched the first fight of the undercard. I watched some of a documentary building up to the fight, but I couldn't stay up for the fight at all. No, so I just checked my phone this morning. And you know what? I kind of agree with Tony Bellew on something on this. And you're not going to hear me many times credit Jake Paul. But I genuinely, as a boxing fan and somebody who, again, admired Mike Tyson greatly as a boxer, I do respect that he took his foot off the gas, because he could have got Tyson out of there if he wanted. He definitely could have. And he chose not to, out of respect. At least that's how I read that situation. And I wish we got to see more of the Jake Paul that doesn't try to play the heel. Because I feel like when he speaks from the heart, speaks to the younger generation, speaks about bettering yourself, following your dreams, I feel like he can really inspire people. And I will always credit anybody who steps foot in a boxing ring or a UFC octagon or an MMA ring, because it takes a tough person to step between those ropes, whether it be white collar boxing or pro boxing. So I'll give him his credit on that one. I thought it was a nice touch, because he could have got Tyson out of there. The fight should never have happened, by the way. Don't get me wrong on that. The whole thing was a fucking farce. It proves nothing. But, you know, I did appreciate that. Corbin, 2003, said, thinking about coming over to Ireland, always wanted to visit, would love to meet you in the future. Mate, if you come over, let me know, and if I can meet you somewhere, I will. You know, Devon came over from Boston, I met him down in Wexford. So absolutely, bro, if you're coming over and it's possible to meet you somewhere, always happy to do it. And you should come to Ireland, but I would say don't come to Dublin, personally, because I'm going to be honest and say it's not great at the minute, especially around Dublin city centre. Like, it's not what I would class as overly dangerous, but it's not what it was. So I would say Galway, Cork, Kerry, up to Belfast, Wicklow, Wexford. You know, lots of great places. Be less expensive for you as well, but it depends what you want from your trip. But definitely do come. Great country. One more super chat to get up. And again, thank you so much, mate, for your super chat. Really appreciate you. Said 35 million plus Nunes for Gyökeres, who was clinical. 35 million plus Costas for Kerkez. Marmoush in the summer for Jota. Again, I can only repeat this, mate. And you said get a DM ASAP. There is no world, no way, no how, no chance that we sign Gyökeres. It isn't going to happen. So I don't want to lead anybody on with that. I'm just going to be honest with you and say every single person I've spoken to over and over again, absolutely zero credibility to Liverpool being linked with Gyökeres. Zero that I'm aware of. Like, I know I'm going full James Pearce here a little bit, but none. Marmoush, 100%. Absolute possibility. But Gyökeres put out of our minds because it is. You're just going to end up being disappointed if you're hoping for that. And you said he's off to United. Could very well be. See, Ruben Amorim's been very clever here. He said he's not going to go back in for any Sporting player in January. United also don't have the money to sign him in January. So I think, reading between the lines, it certainly feels like he's going to go in for him at United. And also, I know how highly Gyökeres and his agent and his family have spoken about Ruben Amorim as a coach and why he moved to Sporting to work with Amorim. And obviously, you can see that Amorim got the best out of him as well. So, wouldn't at all surprise me if he ends up at United. Phil Sheen says, when I was travelling last year, people were telling me they visited Ireland and just stayed in Dublin. Look, Dublin can be a great place. I mean, God, it's where I grew up. But, you know, it depends what your visit to Ireland is about. You know, if you want it to be about scenery, you know, get outside of Dublin and get along the coast, over the west coast, the Galway and places like that. Get down to Cork and Kerry, do the Ring of Kerry. It's a beautiful country, as we know. I just feel Dublin, you don't get your value these days. Hotels are overpriced, food's overpriced, drinks overpriced. So yeah, I would say, you know, avoid Dublin, genuinely. Do United have a much higher transfer budget than Liverpool in the summer? No. United have problems with FFP and PSR. So United had to get special dispensation to somehow be able to have gone 35 million above the 105 million loss over 3 years. So they're already in trouble in that regard. I'm not going to say they're about to get a points deduction, and I don't mean it like that, but they certainly have to be mindful of their spending. And you can see Jim Ratcliffe looking to cut costs right across the board at Manchester United. So I think they're going to have to move on some players, free up maybe some of the high earners of the wage book before they could approach Gyökeres. But if you're saying to me which one has the higher ability to spend more money, 100% it's Liverpool. United generate, or have done mostly in the past, more money, but Liverpool have more wiggle room, 100% right now, if we wanted to. Like, if Liverpool wanted to splurge 200 million, we could do it and not put ourselves into, you know, PSR calculation issues. Kevin said, Taylor definitely lost that fight with the points deduction. Can I ask an honest question though, Kevin? Honest question, mate. Because I haven't seen the fight. Did you watch the fight with the commentary on? Because I've heard some of the commentary and it is quite honestly pathetic. And also, fuck Amanda Serrano in her corner for the disrespect they showed Katie afterwards. It honestly boiled my blood. To talk about Katie Taylor as a fighter who uses her head and is dirty. Anybody who knows anything about boxing knows that when a southpaw fights an orthodox fighter, more often than not, the heads are going to come together. So, I don't know how this narrative that was jumping up and down and shouting about inside that ring was allowed to stand without somebody, and credit to Roy Jones Jr., actually, the only one who I think did mention it. It's bullshit. And look, I get that people are upset. That was two close fights previously. You know, I didn't see the last one, but by all accounts it was relatively close. First one, really close fight. But it feels like a lot of sour grapes. And it feels like disrespect to a woman who deserves more respect than that. You know? And look, I am going to be protective of an Irish athlete. Of course I am. I get that as well. But it just... her coach... Amanda Serrano's coach came across as an asshole. Honestly, an absolute asshole. Ben said... What was this? Where's from Ben? Was the Tyson versus Paul fight rigged? No. It was just a 27-year-old young man, fit as a fiddle, bulked up, strong, beating up on a 58-year-old. It was such a pointless fight. Other than a money grab, it doesn't tell us anything about Jake Paul. It doesn't. Yeah, I detested the whole idea of that fight. And look, 58-year-old man boxing 27-year-old kid. Yeah. Do you know what I would have loved to have seen, though? I would have loved to have seen Mike Tyson rip Logan Paul's head off when Logan Paul said to him, Mike, I beat the shit out of you. You would, yeah. Leave the two of them in a locked room and see which one comes out alive. Because I know who I'm putting my money on. And it isn't Logan Paul, who, as a boxer, was utterly embarrassing when he fought. Like, Jake has something about him. A little bit, something about him. Logan Paul is a shite boxer. Like, god-awful bad. And he went in there and he fought KSI. And he outweighed him. And he was bigger than him. And he was afraid to let his hands go. So, yeah, I thought that, again, was more nonsense from him. Taylor wasn't leaning in with her head, Eli. And I'm talking about, not my opinion because I haven't seen the fight, I'm talking about boxing writers. Not those gobshites who were doing Netflix commentary outside of Roy Jones Jr. and Ariel Helwani. She wasn't leaning in with her head. You've got a southpaw fighting an orthodox fighter and feet get tangled. And when somebody's coming forward and somebody's leaning in, these things happen in these type of fights. And honestly, I don't give a shite. Because I've seen fights where Katie Taylor's won and I felt like she's lost. Delphine Parsoon, first one. I thought she lost that. Honestly, I did. I thought she lost that fight. The first fight certainly was 50-50 and could have gone either way. But I'm not going to just listen to this nonsense narrative about her being a dirty fighter and coach saying she has an oversized head. It's just sour grapes and bullshit. So, you know, Katie deserves more respect than that from her coach, from the commentary team. People who just don't understand boxing with this narrative about her being a dirty fighter putting her head in. And also, one more thing on that. If Katie Taylor was fighting dirty and putting her head in, it's the fucking referee's job to get in there and sort it out. You know, like anything in any other sport, you're going to get away with what the ref or the officials will let you get away with. It is the fight business. It isn't tiddlywinks. So, whether you see Tyson Fury using a size advantage to lean on somebody and wear them down, whether you see people grabbing arms to keep a hold of somebody, not letting them work in close, this is all part of boxing. And it's up. If you're unhappy, that's the referee's job to officiate the fight. Craig, what do you think of the press and fans putting on pressure on us? I don't know what you mean by that. I don't know who's putting the pressure on. If anything, I'm actually fed up listening to them appreciating, not the fans, but pundits, underappreciating us. Like, I've lost any modicum of respect I have for Gary Neville this season because he's just away with the fairies. So yeah, look, let them doubt us. You know, what we know for a fact is 17 games played, 15 wins, 1 loss, 1 draw in all competitions, 5 points clear at the top of the Premier League, 9 points clear of Arsenal, top of the Champions League group stage, in the quarter-final of the League Cup. That's what we know. They're the facts. Now, Taylor headbutting Serrano was deliberate. Okay, you're entitled to your opinion. I'm trying to tell you, as somebody who knows boxing very well, and somebody who's seen many southpaws fight many orthodox fighters, that these coming together in head clashes happen in those type of circumstances. But ultimately, and I can't say this enough, I don't give a shit if anybody has sour grapes or is crying about it. I didn't judge it. I didn't ref it. I'm happy Katie Taylor got the decision. After that, I don't care. It's not going to affect my life. Same with the first fight. No good grace there either. No, just a better woman won on the night. No, cry arson and shown lack of sportsmanship. Got a second chance at it. Another thing you need to remember here is both these fights took place in America, by the way. Which is pretty much, I know she's Puerto Rican, but it's pretty much home territory for Amanda Serrano. And Katie went over there twice. Once in AT&T Stadium, once in Madison Square Garden. And by all accounts, both ladies put on an incredible contest. And both ladies deserve immense respect for showing the best of women's boxing. And that should be the narrative. That these two amazing fighters gave all of themselves for 24 rounds. Or excuse me, 10 rounds, isn't it, for women's fighting? 20 rounds of unbelievable courage, skills, determination, heart. That's what it should be about. That's what they should be remembered for. Because those two ladies have shared 20 extraordinarily good rounds together. Anyway, we move on. Am I a fan of UFC? Not, I wouldn't say I'm a fan. I admire it, I'll watch it. But I don't know enough about it to say I would be a hardcore fan. Should have been a no contest like KSI elbow on Fournier. So, now you're just showing yourself up to be full of shit, mate. To be honest with you. You're clearly just somebody who's clueless around boxing, Jamerson, and showing yourself up to be bitter. KSI and Joe Fournier was a farce of a fight from start to finish. And again, ref should have done his job. But also, shut up. All you've done is whinge about it since we've been talking about it. Mate, I don't care what you think about it. I don't. Harry said, City era is coming to an end. Trent can see that. Slot can make an era of success. Then let him go. He'll just miss out celebrating with Liverpool fans. Definitely agree with you on every point you've made there. I don't want to say he'll miss out on it because, again, we don't know what the future holds there. But like I've said all the way through, Harry, I don't see what more the club can do now to show Trent we're still in the right position, we're challenging, we're going in the right direction. You know, now it's up to him, and we just have to wait and see what Trent says, and then I guess go from there. Nessie, thank you for your super chat, Nessie. And Nessie said, how was the live show? I enjoyed myself. It's not for me to say how others got on the night, you know, if they enjoyed it or not when they spent their money, and I appreciate people coming out, but I had a good time. Really enjoyed myself in Liverpool. Yeah. Harry, I think I brought this up on screen, bro, but just in case I didn't, I'll bring it up there again now, your comment that you read out a second ago. And thank you again. Oh, amen. Thank you, bro. You're very kind. Much love, man. Thank you. I did actually SPV. Yes, I did see the Bray Wanderers draw the game. Do you know what? I tuned in when it was 3-0 to Drogheda. And I seen Bray's goal. Their consolation. What a strike, by the way. Great goal. But look, it's been an incredible last week or two for Drogheda, you know. They looked nailed on to go down at one point this season. Ended up winning the FAI Cup. Securing their place in the Premier Division again. Incredible. Obviously tough for Bray, but credit to Drogheda. Excuse me. Yeah, an incredible week for them. And their fans were brilliant as well, the Drogheda fans. Maya said, Barca looking to get rid of Christensen, could be a signing for Liverpool. Not for me, mate. No, I wouldn't take Christensen now. May have taken him a few years ago, but I wouldn't be bringing him in now. No. I think look younger with the centre-back situation would be my take on it. What position would you target in January? Oh, I think it has to be midfield. You know, we need to complement Ryan and be able to rest Ryan. And I think if we brought in a Zubamendi-esque type player, we could do that, and that's what I hope happens in January. You know, in the summer we had built-in excuses, didn't we? You know, Zubamendi didn't come, Hughes was only just into the club. Now we've had time They're settled into their roles. They've had more time to maybe look into the underlying data of players that might suit Arne Slot's system a little bit more. So I think the excuse of not being able to locate a player, I won't be buying that this January. Now, if they can't get a player and they try, I'll be pissed off about it, but at least we'll know that the intent is still there. If we're hearing that they can't find anybody else other than Zubamendi and Zubamendi won't change his mind, then it becomes frustrating again. But everyone's had time to settle in. Arne's had time to assess the slot a little bit more. Or excuse me, assess the slot. Arne, spot the guy who hasn't slept. Arne has time to assess the squad over the last few months, know who he can lean on, who he can depend on. But I definitely feel like, I'll tell you what, I'll summarise it this way. None of us want to be here in March or April talking about fatigue, injuries, and us falling away and letting teams catch back up to us or pass by us. That is something we cannot allow to happen again, because it's happened too many times. Jurgen was stubborn and pig-headed, and then we ended up with Arthur Melo. Everybody, fans, many pundits, all saying we needed a midfielder, we needed a midfielder, we needed a midfielder. No, we don't, no, we don't, no, we don't, no, we don't. Then last minute, yes, we do, and here's Arthur Melo. We have to learn from these situations. Needed a centre-back, didn't get a centre-back, didn't work out well for us. Ended up, with the loans that we did, or Ben Davies and Ozan Kabak on loan. These aren't solutions. They're just panicky. So yeah, we do. We have to learn these lessons. Especially if we're serious about winning, which I'm sure Arne very much is. If Trent does leave, who would be your preferred replacement signing? Honestly, and I don't mean to pussy out of giving you an answer, I don't know. I don't know, because it's only been really in the last 2 weeks that I've started to feel that Trent might not stay. Before that, I was absolutely convinced that the club would figure this out. But now I'm more thinking he leaves. And I probably should start looking into the right back situation, because I certainly wouldn't be saying Frimpong, because he's just not the right fit. Wrong type of player for us. He's a wing back / winger. We don't need that. We need a right back. So I don't think it's Frimpong. So yeah, honestly, mate, I'm sorry I don't have an answer for you, but I'm kind of new to admitting that he might go, and because of that, I haven't really looked into it much. I've been more looking on the left back situation, where for me, Kerkez was an option that's come up a lot. Yuri, but also I like De Kuiper from Club Brugge. I think he's a great talent as well. Harry said, by Cecic as Ryan backup in January. So I don't know if there is any clause in Stefan Bajcecic's contract that would allow us to bring him back. But I also don't think it would be prudent of us to do so, because the whole idea behind Stefan's loan was to make sure he got a full season, stayed fit, got game time, got into a rhythm, and then we can assess him better. So I feel like he's best placed being left where he is for the season. And, if he's not getting game time or something, or a new manager came in, if Linders got sacked and he wasn't getting a look in, that's a different conversation. Then he's not serving the purpose that we wanted from him out there, which was to get minutes into his legs. So, yeah, I don't think it's going to happen, bringing him back. I don't think it's the right idea either to bring him back in January. Pogba on a free. Maybe for United, Louise. Maybe. You never know. Pogba ×2. Pogba the third. Pogba part 2. I don't know what you want to call it, but yeah. I only found out last night. Mark actually told me late last night when I was dropping him back after the show that he's been released by Juventus. Daniel, how are you? Daniel McCroston said, do you think Bradley is good enough? Yes, but he's not the finished article. Bradley is good enough, will be good enough, but Bradley still is developing to do. So Bradley is not the finished article. And look, I'm not saying as well that there wouldn't be a drop-off initially if we lost Trent with Bradley coming in. It might take him a little bit. I feel he'll get there, though. I do. It's just, I don't know the impact or the difference it might make if Trent was gone and Bradley was in there straight away. But if you give it 6 months, I feel like we'd be having a conversation where we're fairly confident in him. How about an Amarin poll? What position in the table Man United finish? So I feel like it's a tough question to answer without seeing their transfer business. Do you mean this season? Happy to do that. 1 second. Maybe you mean this season. If that's the case, yeah, we can absolutely have a crack at that one. 1 second. How about I phrase it a little bit differently? Will United get into the Champions League this season? I think that's a fairer question, because there's only like 4 or 5 points, I think, from where they are up to those places, which, you know, it's very congested from 3rd, 4th down to 13th. So, 1 second. Wrong one. There we go. So, I said, will United get Champions League qualification this season with Amarim? Yay or nay? Nathan said, I can't stop listening to your voice. Thank you. Appreciate you, mate. Dave, by the way, Mr. Sharples, bit of an update for you. You know I don't like admitting that English crisps are nice, Dave, right? But you reeled me in, bro. You got me. Myself and Connor tucked into a bag of those Walkers toasted cheese and baked beans last night, and they were nice, mate. They were nice. So thank you for thinking of us and bringing them out along with the Life Fest. But yeah, we enjoyed them last night, mate. Thank you. There's more chance of you resurrecting that lettuce. I love it, Dave. I love it. Curtis, things are good, thank you, sir. Hope life is good with you and things are going well for you. Kevin Bayliss said, I don't want their fans to completely give up hope on Robbo. He's been so good for such a long time for a bargain price. He's just having a bit of a dip. He'll come good. So, honestly, for me, Kevin, if we're talking about left back, I would still be thinking about Costas to move on ahead of Robertson. I trust Arne Slot at his word that he feels like Andy Robertson just didn't have the pre-season and didn't have the fitness levels that you would normally have at this moment. So I agree with you, mate. I don't think Robbo's done yet. I do think we need to be mindful of the next year or two. I do. But still I would feel like Costas would be the one, and then bring in a younger left back who can put pressure on Robbo, or who we can gradually bring in. And whether that is Kerkez or Nuri might be a little bit different, because I feel like he's more of a body of work in the Premier League than Kerkez. Ryan, and thank you, Ryan, for being with us as a member, mate, for 10 months. Really appreciate that. Do you think Amarin will try bring in Gyökeres? Yes, I think he'll get him in the summer. I don't think he'll try bring him in. I think they will get him. And I say that for 2 reasons. One, it looks like that they're going to try and move on one of their strikers already. It just doesn't look like anybody at the club's really being convinced by the kid that they brought in from... what was it? What's his name again? Xerxes, is it? Yeah, I don't think he's going to work out. So I think if they can get rid of him, yes, they will go in for Gyökeres in the summer. And I think they'll get him, because I think Gyökeres really wants to continue working with a manager who he's done really well for. Bologna, yes. Sorry, mate. Thank you. Why would Gyökeres sign for United? Well, if they got into the European competitions, right, or even if they were shown indications that they were going back in the right direction under Ruben Amorim, look at where he's been in his career. So with all due respect, he's been to Coventry, and then he's been at Sporting. So United is a step up. Even a poorer version of United than Alex Ferguson's time is still Manchester United. So you couple that with the manager, and you'd have to say, I don't think they'll be on their own, by the way. I think there'll be other clubs looking at them, but I feel United fans wouldn't be delusional for thinking there's a good chance they could get him. Craig, do you think Alisson's still our number one? And you said, I can't believe I'm asking the question. Fergal, mate, I've asked myself the same question with the same guilt attached to it that you're feeling right now. Short answer, yes. Long answer, it's more in question than ever before because of the hamstring. Not because of his form or his quality or his age. But if the hamstring becomes more of a concern or a repetitive injury, then we have to look at it. But right now, he's still the best keeper in the world for me. So I would say now, yes. But again, I think for the first time ever in his time at Liverpool, it is becoming even a slight bit of a question, whereas it was a no-brainer before. Ewan, thank you, bro. I'm having a good day. I'm just absolutely knackered, mate. I haven't slept since, what day is this? Saturday, Friday night, Wednesday. So I didn't sleep Thursday night, didn't sleep Friday night. I'll definitely sleep tonight though. So yeah, I'm good, but I'm just knackered. Can I ask you all a little favour? We're going to finish up in a minute, but before we do, could you guys get those likes up over 500? 65 is what we need. So if you can, please do hit that like button. And of course, we'd love you to hit the subscribe button as well if you haven't done so. Also, at the top of the chat now, you'll see a link to our Clips channel. We were really close to 35k earlier on. So if you can subscribe to that, really would appreciate it as well. Nazar said, do you think Robbo could prolong his Liverpool career if he retired from Scotland? Yes. But I don't think he will. And I can totally understand his stance as well. I think any player, when you get into early 30s, I think there's always a conversation of, would their club be better served if they retired from international football? And I think more often than not, the answer is going to be yes. But he's the national team captain. He's a very proud Scottish man. So it's not for me to tell him what to do with his international career. But would it benefit? Yes. I feel like it would. Can I get a Manscaped code? Certainly. Anfield 20. Harry, all one word. Anfield 20 for 20% off and free shipping store wide. Do you know what? I might have it on the screen here. Let me see if I can put it up for 1 second. Where is it? There you go, mate. That code on the screen there now is the one that if you use it at checkout or scan that QR code will get you 20% off and free shipping, bro. But thank you. You know I'm never shy about dishing out a Manscaped code. Taylor said, Craig, it's Taylor from the show. How were you after the show? I mean, it's a multifaceted question. That seems like a simple question. So for me, I was happy with the show. I was happy with how it went, but always looking for feedback from the people that were there. But I had a great time, mate. Always feel really welcoming, and I could not have felt more supported and more loved, and it was like I was amongst family, like I said last night, mate. So yeah, I'm good, thank you. Michael said it was a bit sad you didn't get your pizza last night. So I did have a pizza when I got back to the hotel. We did order a Domino's, but yeah, I didn't get my pizza slice at the venue again. Do you know what? Sure, it gives me an excuse to come back again, doesn't it? You know, maybe third time lucky, Michael, I'll get that pizza slice. I'm happy you had a good time. I did as well. Went out for my birthday. Nice. Hope you had a good night, all in. Always a nice one when you're going out for the birthday. George said I thought the show was class. Thank you, George. As always, mate, it was lovely catching up with you at the show. And yeah, always a pleasure to meet you, young man. Have any shows that you've done not been as great as you expected? Yes, but not because of anybody else. So there have been times where I felt I could have done better or I was too nervous, but I've never looked at a show and felt that I haven't been what's the word I'm looking for? I've always felt like the audience were amazing and the vibe in the room was class and people were lovely. I've always just been maybe overly critical of my own side of things, but never from the... No, I've been lucky, you know. Every venue's been lovely. Every audience has been lovely. You know, yeah. I'm just critical of myself at times, but never of anybody that's been there. It was all lovely. Dave said if you do a third show, we'll get you some pizza. Nice. Look, I said to you guys last night, there's definitely going to be another show in Liverpool. It's just a matter of when. Do you know what was lovely last night? So I stood back. I was the last person on, obviously. So I stood back and I watched the whole of Carl Porter's stand-up set. And normally I'd be a bag of nerves, but I was so calm and I was ready to just go on. And I felt like I was where I was supposed to be at that moment. So yeah, it was lovely. It was the first single show I've never felt nervous for. I wasn't nervous last time I was in Liverpool, but I wasn't sure if it was because I did Cardiff 2 days before and I got to work through some stuff for that show. But last night, again, I just felt so at ease with where I was. Can't believe you said get rid of Salah. Well, firstly, smart ass, learn to fucking spell. Secondly, I don't think I was... And, by the way, I didn't say get rid of Salah. So, let's put that right. If you're referring to the United game where I said F him and F Darwin, yeah, I was heated that day. But I've never said sell Salah. That I'm aware of. I've said he's looked like he's dropped off a time, or there are questions about him for the first time in his Liverpool career. But if you go back, even look at the Saudi offer of 150 million, I think you'll find that I said don't sell him at that moment in time. Maybe move him on in the summer. So I'm always happy to stand over what I said if somebody quotes me correctly. And also go fuck yourself for being a smart arse, because it doesn't sit well with me, mate. Worst case scenario, Trent leaves and then Gomez and Bradley take over. Actually, Gomez leaves and Bradley is fully ready. So my fear is that we lose Joe Gomez, because to me Joe Gomez is like losing 1.5 players, because you've got a left back, a right back, a centre back, and an experience at that who's still only 26, 27. So yeah, I look, I can see why maybe Joe would want to move on, because maybe he's not getting the game time, and that's understandable. But for a selfish point of view, I don't want Joe to go anywhere. David Coughlin said, I was Salah out at the end of the season and felt like a fool. So look, it's important to note that as fans, players go through periods where we feel they're brilliant and we feel like they're not where we want them to be. And when they're not where we want them to be, depending on the situation, some of us feel like, well, maybe Father Time's catching up. Maybe it's time to cash in. And that's what fans do. But do you know the real thing, David, and the important part on this is, it's to say when we're wrong. You know, we're not going to be right all the time. I'm not going to be right all the time with my opinions, and I never claim to be. But like with Curtis Jones or anybody else, if they show improvements, I am more than happy to say how wrong I was, because I want to be wrong. Always. If I ever doubt a Liverpool player, I want to be wrong, because I want them to succeed. I want the team to do well. All of us, no matter how we sometimes come across with it, we all want them to do well, and we want our boys to succeed. Sometimes, with me, certainly that comes out with over-the-top stuff. Occasionally when I'm worked up and angry. That's just who I am. But we all want the same thing. We want these guys to be a success. Kevin, I haven't got a clue, bro, about... I can't possibly... figure out what the super chat issue is, mate. Sorry. I mean, if I knew, I'd tell you, but you know, it says please edit and try again. I've no idea. I can't imagine it's a message, because you know you're writing posts in here, so I don't know. Please don't feel the need though, mate. It's all good. And you know, I'm happy you're in here with us. I never have an expectation of super chats or anything like that. I do have likes. Yes, I do have likes. I do love the likes to be up, but you know, people spending their hard-earned money, no expectations from me on that ever. And also, this game where I really lost my shit with Darwin and Mo was against United in a game where we drew with them and they were terrible. Like, they were not very good and we still didn't beat them and we didn't look anywhere close to doing it. And I was massively frustrated. Henry said, Gravenberch's a prime example of how fans can change their opinion with good performances. With him though, Henry, I feel like he just wasn't given a chance properly with Jurgen. Or certainly wasn't shown maybe the same belief that Arne has shown in him since he's come in. Again, could be stylistic, could be what Jurgen needed at that moment versus maybe what Arne needs. But what Jurgen, to be fair to him as well, has always said was, when Ryan gets into a rhythm and when he does get playing, we'll see his class. And we are seeing his class. And again, when we signed Ryan Gravenberch, I said, this transfer worries me. I wondered, was there a reason why it didn't work out at Bayern Munich? You know, why wasn't he getting game time? And I said, I'm not sure about this one, it worries me. But again, very quickly I realised, those fears were unfounded because, you know, even in the glimpses under Jurgen, you could see that the class was there. Aaron said, Craig, what are your shows like? Do you do stand-up, crowd work, football talk? I mean, I'd love to sit here and say I do stand-up because I dream about doing stand-up, but I absolutely do not do stand-up. What is it? It's a little bit of football talk. It's a little bit of personal talk. It's a little bit of thank you. It's a little bit of, there are laughs along the way, but it's more on the spot stuff, you know, rather than pre-planned stuff. Honestly, I go into every show trying to make it like a live show that we do on here. I want the audience to shout at me. What I do, I bring the house lights up so I can see everybody, the whole show. Because I want it to be intimate. I want us to be able to see each other. I want people shouting at me. I want them chatting with each other in the audience. The whole lot. So yeah, I don't go in with a plan really. I go in with bullet points and see where the night takes us. Kevin, again, mate, you're so kind. You being here is more than enough though, bro. And thank you for your kind sentiment. Really appreciate it. Jeff, how are you, sir? Don't beat yourself up for letting the ignorance get into your head. If you always be you and true to yourself, then those people who oppose you and what you're working towards are irrelevant. Do you know, in the cold light of day a lot of the time, Jeff, I feel silly that I let some of these people get into my head. And it's never been a case of somebody saying, oh, your content's shit, your opinions are shit. That's fine. I mean, say that to me all day. But it's when it gets personal or talks about your honesty or your integrity or your sincerity, that stuff that really boils my blood. And I shouldn't let it get to me. I know I shouldn't. And I feel embarrassed about it, that it does get to me sometimes. But I'm trying. And I know only too well that I'm so fortunate to have the support of such amazing people. And I certainly never take that for granted. But yeah, I'm trying, my man. And I thank you again. Lanky Noodle 123. What a name that is, by the way. Well in. Lanky Noodle 123. Love that. Thank you, mate, for your super chat. You didn't put a comment in, but it's your first one. And thank you so much. And again, belter of a username that. Do you think we should try Chiesa and striker? I think there's every opportunity we'll see him in there. And the brief glimpses we got to see of Chiesa, he was central to my recollection anyway. So he played most of his minutes for Juventus centrally. If you listen to the man himself, he would say he's a winger. You know, I've seen him interviewed say he would describe himself as a winger. But absolutely, there's an opportunity we'll see him centrally. Were you bothered to watch the boxing last night? Felt bad for Tyson. I didn't watch it on because I was so tired. You know, I probably would have flicked it on if I was up and there was nothing on, but I was so tired that I lay there staring at the wall for about 6 hours trying to sleep. Yeah, but Wasn't surprised when I woke up to see the result, because 58-year-old man against a 27-year-old strong young lad. I do have respect for Jake Paul for taking his foot off the gas though, because he could have got Tyson out of there, and nobody wanted to see Mike Tyson go out that way. So yeah, I'll give Jake Paul his credit for that one. Right, Harry, last one before we finish up. Thank you, mate. Said, in Jurgen era, Trent created the majority of the chances. In a Slot era, without Trent, hypothetically, can Maka, Dom and Ryan create more efficient chances? So, certainly I feel so far in the Arne Slot era, we have seen less of an attacking threat from Trent, but a better defensive version of Trent. So, this is why I feel that the impact of Trent leaving might be a little bit less than it would have been in the Klopp era. Because there's less of this drifting inside. Still happens, like he still does drift inside, but he's not vacating that fullback position anywhere near as much. So I think we're better balanced the way Arne has us set up. And whether by default that means another right back may be easier to implement in, I don't know, maybe. Has the most big chances created in our team? Assists, mate, not big chances. Again, these are some of these stats these days are they don't do it for me. And look, he has an impact, and we've seen that. His balls over the top into those right channels can have an impact, but you don't see him gung ho as much, getting to the penalty area as much. Trent is so good from any part of the pitch that he's always going to create something for you and always going to give you an option for a 40-50 yard switch or a ball into that right channel. His ball striking is phenomenal. But if you're, creativity wise, I want more from the rest of the team as well. I want more from Dominic Szoboszlai. We know Mo's putting up numbers from the assist front as well. I want more from Darwin. I want more from Lucho. But yeah, look, Trent is a good footballer, but I just don't think he's a 300 grand a week plus player for us, personally. Smokey, thank you, bro. Hope all is well with the AA family. Do I think Trent will sign? So, I want to reiterate before I answer, Tony, this is just my opinion. This isn't based off information. But my opinion at this moment in time is I feel it's more likely he won't stay than he will. But I very much hope I'm wrong, because of course I want him to stay. I just don't think... If I was in charge of Liverpool right now and it was 350 grand a week or Trent goes. Because he's not worth that money in my opinion. But, that's just my opinion. Kevin. Oh, thank you, mate. I love your persistence, mate, and your kindness. Thank you. Hopefully this works. Try 2010 now 5. YouTube being tight. Look, mate, thank you. I appreciate that. As I said, there was no need, but I do appreciate it, Kevin. So thank you. Right, ladies and gentlemen, I'm gonna go. I've got a news video to record for the morning with a couple of subjects I haven't really touched on tonight, so that'll be coming out tomorrow. Will be a video tomorrow evening as well, and of course we'll be live tomorrow night. So actually, do you know what? We probably won't put out a video tomorrow evening because Ireland are playing England and everybody will be watching that. So there'll be a video in the morning and then we'll be streaming tomorrow night. So thank you. Enjoy the rest of your Saturday night. Appreciate you coming in and joining me again. If you haven't subscribed to the Clips channel, please do. And again, thank you so much for everyone that came out last night and for you guys in the chat. You really, really are amazing. Thank you. Love you to bits. Talk to you soon. Bye.